Hey, MOMnation, and welcome back to another episode of our love story with our amazing certified couples counselor, Dyanna.
Hi, how are you?
Woohoo! Hi. I need like that applause button that I always talk about. I have one. Yeah, I can't figure out how to make it work. For now it's me. Yay.
I'll take it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here with us month after month. We so appreciate it. It is such valuable information and advice. So thank you for spending your very precious time with us. And mamas, as usual, we either have a post to talk about, right? Or we have some sort of topic that's trending in Dyanna's office or something that's been hanging on her heart and mind. Today, we have a post. This is not a MOMnation post. And again, you're not going to know who the poster is unless it's you and you recognize it, because we never put a poster on blast. It's always an anonymous post. And again, this one is not even from our group. You may or may not recognize it if you are local, but let's dive right into this one because Dyanna, I don't think this lady's alone here. I think this probably happens in many homes across our country and world. For that matter, right? Like marriage just isn't in this country. So let me dive right into it and read it for those that are listening podcast style. Post goes on to say, help me navigate this, cry emoji. For some reason, physical touch sends me into fight or flight. I think it's because the only physical touch I get from my husband means sex. Outside of the bedroom, there's like none. I told this to him when I said I wasn't in the mood and explained that I need more than just sexual touch, but he was upset that I rejected him again. And now he's sort of retaliating by not touching me at all. Like minimal pet goodbye, no hugging, not even touching my shoulder as he tries to move around me. I'm frustrated. I asked for patience as I tried to rewire my brain to not feel fight or flight, but he was like, no, I'm just not going to try at all anymore and not even going to touch you unless you initiate it fully so you stop feeling unsafe around me. I don't know what to do. This feels like it'll kill my relationship, but also I have to learn how to initiate and be okay with touch. How do I do this? Any tips would be helpful. Is this weaponizing physical touch? Am I right or no?
This sounds like he's allowing his rejection sensitivity to take over here, and not wanting to show any vulnerability about how it hurts. So instead, he's using it in a way to be more. I saw in some of the comments like retaliatory, sort of, kind of. It's definitely not like a manipulation, but it's certainly like a clear signal that like I'm not getting what I want and I can't share this with you from a vulnerable place. So this is the only way that I know how to communicate, is by being contradictory, basically. So this is not an uncommon thing at all. Like this is something that happens a lot. When emotional safety isn't something that's one of the couple's strengths. And so even in the statement that this poster said that her husband said, until you can feel safe around me. Well, in order to feel safe, you also have to create safety. Like this is a two-way street. And so she's not just going to rewire her brain all on her own. This is something that she's going to have to learn as well. And this is something that he's going to kind of have to help facilitate too, once he understands like what's actually going on here. So this isn't a, he's being a jerk. He's terrible. You shouldn't be treated like that. Sure. Does she deserve to be, feeling the way that she does right now? I'm not going to label her emotions for her, but no, definitely not. But before we jump to that, like, how can we get curious about what's actually going on here and communicate in a way to try to figure out like, what are your needs and how can I create a safe place for you to be vulnerable? Right? Because he clearly does not feel safe being vulnerable. And that's not to say that that's her fault, but there is some culpability here. And how do we create emotional safety for our partner? This isn't just like a one-way street again, right? Like we have to create what we want in terms of emotional safety in relationships. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it didn't occur to me until you just said it, and obviously you're you, so it was very insightful. But they both don't feel safe. It sounds
Right. Absolutely. She
and they
doesn't
may
feel
not
safe.
both be using that language, right? But it's showing up in the behavior.
Absolutely. And that they can't talk about it. So in whatever way that she approached it the last time he tried to initiate with her, clearly set off his rejection sensor, you know what I mean? And so he shut down and wasn't able to retrieve like whatever vulnerable emotions that he was feeling in that moment. And I also have to wonder, like, what was the delivery like? You know what I mean? What did she communicate versus, you know, what was the impact versus intent, right? Like, even with our best intentions, sometimes we can't control the impact or how it's received on the other end. You know what I mean? So neither one of them, it sounds like, feel particularly safe. And so that has to be taught. That has to be taught by both of them, how to feel and provide that emotional safety. You know what I mean? And so sometimes it requires the other person, in this case, husband, to feel heard and understood so that he can sort of unlock that part of himself, the vulnerable self that he's having a hard time retrieving, so that we can get a better understanding of like where he's coming from.
It sounds to me, and let me know if this is what you see as well. It sounds to me like she's maybe a little bit more advanced in the talking about the feeling thing than he is, but they're still not getting there. So what advice would you have for her if I'm correct here and she's a little bit more advanced in this, to help him get there in a way that's not going to shut him down any further by him feeling like he's being attacked or that kind of thing?
Sure. I mean, that certainly could be true. Like we don't know, you know, where she's at in the whole, like, you know, emotional intelligence sort of thing. But it's not just physical touch. Like, I don't have to know like everything that's going on in their relationship to tell you that. Like, there's clearly like some gaps in communication across the board, and he's a contributor, but like so is she. So like, was this the first time that she said something after like rejecting him after, you know, how has it been, weeks, months? Like, how long has this been? And then this was the first time. So he heard it as like an excuse. He didn't actually hear her, like really get curious about hearing her, because it's already been like this pattern. And if that's the case, then has she been potentially avoidant in the way that she feels? And at some point it just like bubbled up this, you know, she puts it in fight or flight, right? Like it just bubbled up to some point where she was just like, I don't want you to touch me, when it's only like for sex, you know what I mean? And so again, the communication has to be there, and it's probably not just about this. It's probably about other things too. So even if she feels like, or believes like, I communicated it like in a very like calm and direct way, like, how long has this been avoided for? And like, what does intimacy look like? She says, you know, something about being more comfortable initiating. How often do you initiate versus how often he initiates? You know what I mean? And like, what are the other forms of intimacy in the relationship? What do those look like? Emotional intimacy, you know what I mean? How often do we check in with each other and talk about things? You know what I mean? So to answer your question, like, I would be very curious from her standpoint, like, what am I contributing here? Do I have any blind spots here that maybe I need to consider in the way that I'm communicating? And then for her to go and communicate with him about this should be in a very neutral place, right? Like the kitchen table or something, you know, like when the kids are at school or whatever. But like, hey, I really want to talk about like, you know, what happened the other night. And I just want to explain to you like where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sharing this with you to attack you. I'm sharing this with you because I want to make us better. And I'm identifying a way that maybe we have not been able to communicate about this topic before. So I want to like put everything out there and clear the air so that we can find some solutions together. So a neutral place, using a lot of like I statements and things from her perspective. If she comes out the gate saying like, you only touch me when you want to have sex, that's probably not going to be received in the way that she wants it to open up communication. But like, I want to be close with you. I want us to be more physically affectionate. And I feel right now that the only time that we do that is when it's the intent to have sex. How do you feel about that? You know what I mean? That's just opening it up from like my perspective. And now I'm asking you like how you feel about that. You know what I mean? So neutral and using I statements and being very clear about how you feel and then asking for his feedback on it too.
I love that. That definitely feels more comfortable than, and again, we don't have details. We don't know what their conversations are like, but it feels like that is more comfortable than what it's been like lately for them. Again, we don't have all the details, but could there be some past trauma on either or both sides that's contributing to this?
Absolutely. I mean, either individually, like in, childhood, individual experiences, past relationship experiences, but also this one. So there could definitely be some like attachment injuries in there too that have not been resolved, and built up resentment is an intimacy killer. You know what I mean? So if they're not, being sexually intimate very consistently, there's probably something else there that's contributing to that, whether it just be lack of physical touch or affection, and also resentment, things that have not been resolved, things that are still lingering there, help create these narratives, which we've talked about before, these stories about who our partner is or what our relationship is or what my role is in this relationship and things like that. And those things fester. They fester and they make things worse, and they just keep cropping up in different areas of the relationship until they're addressed.
Yeah, and it seems to me like, and again, we don't have all the details. We don't know what's going on here, but could there be a little struggle, like we've talked about on previous episodes before, where it's like, well, if he's not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to be the first one to jump. I'm not going to be the first one to try to make amends. You know what I'm saying? Like, could there be a little bit of that in here too?
Yeah, some scorekeeping.
Yes, that's it.
There certainly could be some scorekeeping here, and it feels a little bit like that's what he's doing right now. But I sort of equate that behavior of, I'm not going to touch you, even like brushing your shoulder as we walk by or whatever, as like pouting. You know what I mean? That's essentially an adult version of pouting or having a tantrum about something that is an unmet need. But when you look at it from, okay, this behavior is offensive and I don't like it and you should knock it off, versus like objectively, you have an unmet need. You're not communicating it very well, but you have an unmet need. Do I have the bandwidth to try to figure out what that is, to communicate with you better, to understand what it is that you need, so that we can both talk about what it is that we need? This isn't just about me and it's not just about you, but you have to be willing to engage in that conversation too. You know what I mean?
I mean, it sounds like he's kind of going out of his way. It's hard to do what he's doing. I mean, you're married, I'm married. It's hard to not brush by one another at the fridge and totally not touch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He's definitely working hard to send the signal that like, you hurt me.
Yeah.
And the hurt is valid. The way that he's communicating it and trying to get his message across isn't the most effective. But at the end of the day, hurt is hurt. So how can we figure out a better way to communicate about it, a better way to expose it, and create a safe place for both of them to be vulnerable, right? And whether that's something that they can have a conversation with at home, or like with an objective third party, like in couples counseling, right? Like everyone just wants to be heard. Right. Like everyone just wants to be heard. They want to be seen and they want to be understood. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if he's got the environment to allow all of those things at home, great. If he doesn't have that at home, then like go to a third party where someone objective can be like, okay, tell me what your experience is and how you feel, and then try to get the two to understand where the other person is coming from and to validate and perspective take before we start finding solutions. You know what I mean? This isn't about right behavior or wrong behavior. Clearly what he's doing is not helpful. It's hurting her. You know what I mean? But if we just come at it with, oh, that's so wrong. Well, cool. But we're actually not listening to like what he's going through and trying to figure this out from like a relationship standpoint. You can just tell someone to stop doing a thing, but it isn't going to get to the root of why it's happening. Right. Until we find out, until we create this space to be vulnerable, to figure out what's going on so we can prevent it from happening again.
Yeah. What I'm hearing there loud and clear is it doesn't matter if you're right. right? Like it's the communication, it's the coming to an agreement, it's the hearing one another, it's the getting to the bottom of the feelings that's important.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of times, especially in these groups with comments and things like that, like we hang on the right and wrong of it a little bit too heavy.
Absolutely. And it's just it's not that simple to be right or wrong. You know what I mean? If we assign right or wrong, we're probably going to perpetuate and repeat cycles that are already in the relationship that are not good. They're not healthy. You know what I mean? And to just place blame on one person is so singular, you know, like every person in a relationship is 50% of the problem, but they're also 50% of the solution. You know what I mean? So we don't know anything about any of the other conflict dynamics in their relationship. We don't know anything about their attachment styles. We don't know anything about any of that. You know what I mean? But you're both putting 50% in. And is this her responsibility to quote unquote fix or solve this problem? No, but she's responsible for 50% of it. You know what I mean? She's got to be able to do her part to create the safe place. And if it's not landing well, then like, hey, let's go talk to somebody about it so they can help us sort this out, because clearly we're stuck. You know?
Do you have any other advice for this couple?
I would say it is so valuable to find shared experience with people on social media, and it's a place to vent. It's a place to build community. Like, it has a lot of value, right? But when it comes to your relationship, nobody knows your relationship better than you do. Right. And so everyone else's perspective is going to be so subjective. It's going to be tainted and biased from their own experiences, the things that they've been through, their thoughts, their whatever. And so it's not going to be objective. And so that could have the potential to negatively influence your decision process and like what you decide to do. So go ahead, vent, like listen to other people's perspectives, like take it all in. That's great. But just keep in mind that nobody knows your relationship better than you do. And if there is a problem that you don't feel like you guys can solve, seek out somebody that's objective that can help teach you the skills and the tools to communicate better, to build your relationship, because nobody goes into a relationship with the intent to end it.
Right.
So
and there's no handbook for
this. Work on it.
Right. And there's like no standard handbook for this stuff. So it's not like a one answer fits all, right?
Definitely not. If there was, then I wouldn't be doing what I do.
Or it'd be a heck of a lot easier, Dyanna.
Right. Right.
You still offering your consultations? Maybe this couple should take you up on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you go to my website, DyannaEiselTherapy.com, you can click on schedule a free consult. And there's also a little email in there that you can put a little content, little message in there and send me a quick email. And then we can do a 15-minute phone consultation and connect.
I love it. And I highly recommend that not only this couple, but other couples that may be struggling with similar things or things in general do the same. Yes. Thank you again, Dyanna. You're the best.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, if you want to check out any of our previous episodes, hop on over to our YouTube channel. It is at MOMnation USA. That's our handle. Scroll down just a little ways and you will see us in bright red. We are Our Love Story. That's this podcast. We're also at the top. So this is kind of a new thing. It's only been out for a couple of months, but we have one specific podcast for this show only through YouTube, and you can get that at the top of our YouTube channel. If you prefer podcast style, maybe you run a lot, bike a lot, hike a lot, then over on your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for MOMnation Talk Radio. There you'll find us, like, download, click the bell, notified, rate us, all the things. It's really helpful, and we really appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Struggling to reconnect with yourself or the ones you love? Meet Dyanna Eisel, a licensed marriage and family therapist, here to support your journey toward connection and clarity. She helps you feel seen, heard, and supported as you grow through life's challenges, emotionally, sexually, and relationally. A safe, judgment-free space where growth can begin. Come as you are and grow into who you're becoming. Reach out today and take your first step toward healing with Dyanna.